My name is Natalie Morton. I'm the International Internship Coordinator, so thank you for coming. We have 4 students that are going to present their internship and what they did this last fall. So they each have unique experiences that they're going to talk about, right? What the internship was like, with whom they went with, the providers, what they did on weekends, whether they lived in a tent or in an apartment, that type of thing.
I did my internship in China. I lived there for 4 months, the whole semester. I left at the end of August, got back about 3 days before Christmas. It was really great. There's a lot of awesome cultural differences in China. I'm going to go kind of non-formal here. I'm just going to throw some pictures up so I remember what's left to talk about and answer some of the other questions. The primary part of the job was teaching English as well as American culture. So I study psychology through UVU. I'm working on a bachelor's degree. I'm hoping to graduate this fall. So with that background, they had me talk a lot about American culturals, whether like behavioral differences as well as social differences. So I taught some classes on like what we do when we go to the movies, different types of like traffic differences and stuff like that, just so they could be looking at stuff like that, as well as music videos. I showed a class with different, most updated music videos from like Imagine Dragons and a couple other ones, and they were just kind of blown away. Like, why do you guys do this? What is the purpose of this? I'm like, oh, it's just more artistic and fun to talk about. This is a picture in a city called Pingyao. It's close to where I was at. It's one of the only cities left in China that has its very own wall all the way around the city, aside from like the Great Wall, which most people know about. It's very, I don't know, it's like what you think of if you're watching like a mainstream Hollywood movie of what China would look like. So they've got a lot of different venues of selling knickknacks, lots of different restaurants. It's all very street-oriented. There's not really a cash register in most places that you go to. You just walk in and somebody will just like find you and start following you around, and every time you pick something up, they'll be like, oh, that's that much. They have their little receipt book that they write it all down, and then they give that to you at the end. So that was a lot of fun. This is kind of what one of the average middle schools looks like in China. They spontaneously had me and another intern sing a Disney song for about 5,000 Chinese students. They've got a really kind of last-minute business ethic there. So most of the time, we just get a text the day before and be like, hey, can you do this tomorrow morning? And we'll be like, yeah, sure, why not? So this is some of the middle school students. I just kind of turned around and took a quick picture of all of them behind us. They're all wearing kind of military uniforms. This isn't some sort of secret like ninja thing that they do where they train on that. That's just kind of their school structure. They all wear, it is kind of militarized sounding where they all wear like uniform. They all meet like in a little formation at the beginning and recite some Chinese proverb type thing. But that's just kind of to signify what level of school they're in. So they all wear matching uniforms, and instead of like what you think of here in America where they have like the tie and the slacks, they did military uniforms at this school, and then after their first grade they switched to a more higher class uniform, I guess you could say. That's the traditional Chinese tool pick, everyone's got to guess. This is at the Great Wall. I went with the hostel company there, so I lived in an apartment complex provided by the company. They gave us, they paid for all of that, paid for our utilities, and then gave us money for food and exploration on the side, so that was a really great thing that they did. I went to Beijing for a week during a holiday week in China when school was out. Great things about traveling to China, it's usually really easy to get what we call a hostel, which is just like a group hotel. There's like a bunch of bunk beds in one room and everyone just shares. So when I stayed in Beijing for the week, I was there for I think 5 nights. It was like $5 a night at the hostel we stayed at. And they're the ones that we did the trip to the Great Wall through. We went to a more old, less trafficked area. So when I was on the wall, we walked for about 3 hours along the wall. And I think we only saw 7 other people, and they were all in our tour group. So it was a really cool area to be able to go and not have the regular day-to-day traffic. So we took trips like this, probably, we get one, I was there for 4 months, so we had 3 different 3-day weekends where we got to go out and go to a different area. This is also in Beijing, the Forbidden City. So you got the classic Chinese soldiers marching in the front and up there on the wall. So it was really great. They were really, I don't know what the word I'm thinking for is, supportive of making sure we got to experience as much of China as we could. So most of the other people, the locals that we worked with in the company would like recommend places to go to, either like in the city we lived in, or if they said, oh, if you have a chance in your next break, go to this city and check out these touristy sites. So Forbidden City was a really cool one. This is a local area in the city I lived in. So the province I stayed in was called the Shanxi province. It's kind of right in between like central China and eastern China. It's just, I think it's like 4 hours west of Beijing. We called this Food Street, which actually if you look it up on Google and type in like Food Street Taiyuan, like that's the actual name of the street. I don't know if it translates to that in Chinese, but like even the locals, if we were talking English, would say, oh, we're going to Food Street. Like, oh yeah. They know exactly what that is. So this had a mix of like sit-down restaurants as well as just like street, I don't know, instead of having food trucks like we have here, they just have like a booth type, like, I don't know, maybe a carnival type booth would be a good way to describe it, where they'd have different like shish kebabs and all kinds of random things you can eat. So here's a guy frying up some, I honestly didn't know what it was half the time. I'm some sort of pork or lamb. I usually didn't ask. I just say that looks okay. I'll take that. If I was feeling like really like spicy on the weekend, I just point to a random thing on the menu and just see what they brought out. Wasn't always the best idea. Primarily, instead of speaking Chinese, I just downloaded the Google Translate app before I went. And you can use like the picture setting and like put it over the words and it'll translate it for you, which worked pretty decent a lot of the time. Some of the companies, they talked about it in our company, we didn't actually get a chance to do it, but some of the companies are trying to set it up where like once a week they'll let the interns go and meet with the locals to learn different types of day-to-day Chinese, Mandarin speaking, so you can kind of do some more stuff on your own. This is one of the cultural activities we did. They don't necessarily celebrate Halloween in China, they've got their own kind of traditional things they do. So we hosted a Halloween party on Halloween evening, told people to dress up. Everyone was a lot more traditional out of our local staff. I don't know if I put a picture in here or not. But all the local staff was like dressing up as vampires, witches, like your classic like monsters. And then you had our intro coordinators who were a dog and a mouse. I dressed up as a tacky hiker, so I had my long socks and my shorts and my hair in a ponytail and all that. So they were just like, why are you guys dressed like that? Like, I thought this was Halloween. I'm like, oh no, you can dress as whatever you want. So we got a little grief for that. But it was really fun. So all the kids lined up, we played different games. We carved pumpkins, which was just markers we drew on them. They didn't know how to actually carve them. They don't have like big pumpkins there. Gardening's not a huge like normal thing they do in China. There's like companies that will do it for produce, but no backyard gardens there. So that was some of the different things we did with that. This is just more around the local area. I worked at a preschool for about a month and a half right before I left, and they gave me a 4-hour lunch break, which is not bad for me. The school was located, we lived on the outskirts of town, and the school was really centrally located. Anything that was for like teaching purposes, the company would arrange like a taxi or their equivalent of what I'd call like an Uber car to come pick us up and take us out there. So since the school was right in the middle of the city, I really liked those 4-hour breaks because I could just jump on a bus or just walk to all the different malls and other cool local sites. But half the time, either because I was doing homework for some of my online classes, I just go hang out at the bakery that was right across the street from the school. And I became really good friends with the baker owner. It's definitely very stereotypical where if you're a white person in China, you're just kind of like a celebrity. Everyone wants to take a picture with you. People are waving at you. They use an app called WeChat for all their texting and money stuff, so everyone's like throwing out their WeChat. Right before I left, I gave a speech. That was also last minute. They texted me Friday morning and said, hey, Friday night, can you give a speech at this university about our English competition? And I was like Friday night tonight or Friday night next week? And then I know like tonight, like in 12 hours. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. So that was fun. There was about 50 college students, and at the end, I just pulled up my little WeChat barcode, and it was just like this swarm of college students just all taking turns throwing their phones out. And then they got in a nice little line and took turns while they all came up and took their picture with me. And I just had to stand there and did the little peace sign. It was like a really nice person. This is some of the stuff that the baker, he liked to bring out his breads and he'd let me taste test them for him and give my like American review, and he'd like write it out and do that. So I was really good friends with him by the end. One of the other interns was mad because she worked at the preschool for like 3 months and she'd go there every day too. And like would ask him if she could do interviews with him and like try to get him to do stuff, and she kind of talked to him. And then one day he just came and sat with me, and for like 2.5 hours in my 4-hour break, he was just like, we were just translating on our texting apps, just trying to talk back and forth about random stuff. He's telling me how he liked to travel, what got him into baking, how long he'd owned the business for. So it was really cool. I really enjoyed getting to be a part of some of the people's local lives like that. I'm pretty sure if I would have stayed, he would have tried to offer me a job. So they don't really have a prominent religion in China at all, from what I can tell. Most traditionally, a lot of people have binds in kind of like the Buddhism type religious background. So there's a lot of areas where these are called pagodas. They're just different temple sites that ancient Buddhism was popular in. In Taiyuan, the city I was in, they were really well known in China for the twin pagodas, which is just two pagodas built right next to each other. Most commonly, it's just one pagoda. But you could walk through these sites now and see like ancient Buddhist texts that were written, other kinds of like statues and old shrines that had been used and still are frequently used by some people that go. So a lot of cool history there. Most of the time when religion did come up, when we asked about like, oh, what do you guys like, why do you believe this, why do you believe this, they just say, oh, it's tradition. Like they wouldn't have any reference, but that's just what my parents did, that's what my grandparents did. So tradition is definitely more heavy there than anything else. I did get to take a weekend trip to Tokyo to renew my visa. I got really lucky. I had a friend that lives in Tokyo, so I texted him and said, hey, I'm going to come to Tokyo next month. Can you house me? He said, no, I'm in Utah right now. And I said, of course. So he sent me up with a couple of his friends instead. So I showed up. I had 2 days there, but we leave the apartment at 9 a.m. and they just walked me out until almost midnight. We just walked through all the city. This is Skytree Tower. It's the most tallest tower in the world. It's not the tallest skyscraper. They had to differentiate for me, but they're really proud to say that was the tallest tower in the world. So we went up on there, got some pictures. This is a market in Tokyo where it's pretty similar that way, where they have a lot of street venues, people just selling stuff in the little booths type thing. There's not that many people in Tokyo. I don't know if it's Tokyo. That was a riot. It got to the point where I go and if I see like a white person like this, I get really excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy's white. He's like me. So I would sometimes try to go wave at them and they'd get grouchy with me because they're like on vacation. They're tired of white people and I'm here like, wow, you're the first person that's not Chinese that I've seen in 3 months. So it was pretty fun. The last trip I took was to a city called Xi'an. That's where the terracotta warriors are. I just did this trip on my own. I got in a group with a bunch of Australian people that were there, and we were talking about the mummy. I don't know how many of you guys have seen all the Brendan Fraser mummy movies, but the third one's kind of loosely based off this finding. So I was referencing that movie a lot, and the Australian people were like, I didn't know there was a third one, so they're making fun of me. But it was kind of cool to get to go and see that. They're very unique. Everyone has a different facial structure than the one before it. There's thousands of them. So that was a really cool experience. So that's another one of the weekend trips we did.
I have a question.
Where are we at?
Did you get to learn any language while you were over there?
No, not a lot. Like I learned enough to order some food here and there and like make sure the taxi knew where I was going and stuff like that. What I was saying earlier, they were trying to set it up where once a week we'd meet with the local employees that worked with our company to like give us tips on like practice language for the local speaking and stuff like that.
I had something very similar to this. What program or what?
It's called Star of Alex. So it's an English speaking competition through CCTV, which is China's main broadcasting network. So they have an English speaking competition from like January to March, and then every other month it's just teaching English, stuff like that. They didn't end up getting it set up while I was there, but a lot of the companies that I've talked to said they do usually try to do that, where they once a week they go and teach you like food, travel, just like stuff you need to get around town. So again, more Buddhism stuff. This is another pagoda that's in Xi'an. They all have names that are complicated that I can't remember. But, yeah, this is a pretty popular one. They have this big fountain show that they do every night, lights and stuff. So they were bummed when I didn't stay for that. Classic feet picture. All right, and this is kind of more of a classroom setting. So that's me in my cool polo that they gave me finally after a month. I felt so special. So this is the same middle school where you saw all the kids in their military uniforms that day. They don't wear them every day. It's kind of like, have you guys seen Karate Kid, like the newer one with Jackie Chan, with like, wear uniforms, aren't uniforms? I watched that like 2 days before I left. I was really happy about it. So that's how it was. They didn't always wear uniforms, but it was generally a setting like this where they'd sit in. I think in this lesson we were talking about like family trees, so explaining how to say mother, father, grandfather, grandmother. And you can see on the top of the board where I was trying to get into the great-great-grandparents. That was their favorite thing, because they just say great over and over and over. I think we got to like 8 and then I got tired of saying it, so they kind of caught on by then. So it's just different things like that. Simple ways to teach English and help them understand that transition. That's the last one I have for this slide. I'll just click it back to the beginning here. This one. We'll see if it has any more questions. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about that? So again, I was in China. Yeah. Anybody?
Who's the provider?
Oh, so the company I went through is called Star of Outlook. They are English speaking competition. Again, with like the general business ethics there is kind of more last minute. So there were a couple times when I got, I don't know, a little unnecessary stress is what I would call it, when they would text me at 7 in the morning and say, hey, we need you to teach a class in an hour on this and this and this, and I'd be like, well, it's not a lot of time to prepare, so if it's kind of a sucky lesson, like that's why. And most of the time they're like, they literally just need a white person there. Like sometimes they just say, they're like, as long as you're there and you're saying stuff in English, like the owner's gonna be happy. And I was like, okay. So what I'd recommend if you want to do an internship in China is just whatever companies reach out to you, whatever companies you're looking into, do a little bit of background research, talk to people who are there already, try to get some information on the company structure, and just kind of be ready for stuff like that.
What was the application process? How many people did they choose, and what did they provide as well?
Application process was, I actually found the internship on the UVU Internship board. There was that one and one other one in Africa at the time. And I don't know if they've gotten it back on the internship board yet. I know he was trying to get it on, but they're redoing the website, and we don't know who does the website, so I got kind of behind. So I just applied online, sent an email to the guy that was the intern coordinator at the time. He did a Skype interview with me. They were hiring 4 or 5 interns. I know they like to have around 5 to 8 in general if they can, and we had 5 at the time, and then 3 of them had to leave within like a month after I got there. So they're definitely, I don't know, if you want to teach in China, it's definitely something that tons of companies are always looking for people to do. What was your second question?
What did they provide? Like, how much did you have to pay for?
Yeah,
what
so as far as my budget, I wanted to leave in the fall of last year, so I started looking at an internship in February, so about 7 months before I was planning on going. So I just did my regular budget of like what are my normal bills, like health insurance, phone bill, that kind of stuff, and then tuition you still have to pay if you're doing it through an internship. As far as the company paying, I had to pay for my flights. I know occasionally, like for the spring semester this year, they were doing a plan where they reimburse your flight out there if you came for the springtime, and other companies do stuff like that. But the stuff that they for sure covered is they covered housing, utilities, that has like Wi-Fi, all that stuff, and then they gave us a monthly food stipend of like, this is, I don't know, it's pretty good. It was 2,400 yuan, which is only like, it's like $400, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so most of it.
13 yuan a week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So what they did, most of that was for food, which was more than enough. So what we do is you could get like cheap food around your I don't know, our apartment complex had tons of restaurants. So we get cheap food there, and then we'd save all our money for these weekend trips, and we'd still have plenty to do that. One girl saved up all her money and was going to go to Thailand at the end of her internship because she had enough to transition to that. And then, what was your last question?
I think that was it.
Okay. If you have more questions, you can feel free. My email's on the board. It's really small, but if you want to jump up there and read it, I'm really easy to email with. So I didn't write my phone number until I will answer my phone. But if you send me an email, I can email you back really quick. I've got a lot of contacts with other people that want teachers. I get messages on the WeChat app probably once a month asking me if I want to take any of these, any different 15 positions in 15 different cities for a semester or a year. So if you get one internship down, that will give you enough contacts to get out there pretty much any other time you want to go after that.
Other than teaching English, do you get other business-like opportunities or internships?
I know one that I heard that they just texted me about a while ago. That we're looking for people already in China, but they're looking for people to just give simple like business type speeches at different areas, and it was mainly just again having like an American face. So what the company would do is they'd pay you to go to like a press interview, and they could just either ask you questions about America, American cultures, or the business would say, we just need you to read this paragraph about our business, and you just read it, and they pay you, I don't know, probably the equivalent of $200 or $300 US to go do that. So if you've got most companies that I've talked to, if you have a bachelor's degree and some previous experience in China, you can make as much as you make here in a full-time job. Our intern coordinators who signed up for a 1 to 3 year contract, I think we're getting paid roughly $2,000 American dollars a month. And the ones that did it right before them had saved up, I think they said $40,000 something by the year end because everything's so cheap in China. Like they didn't have to pay for a car, they didn't have to pay for a lot of stuff and food. Food, I think I spent maybe like $60 a week on food, and that was eating out almost every meal.
So this internship was paid?
Correct, yeah. So it paid, and that they give us the food stipend and then the extra money to go do trips and stuff.
Was it per class or was it per?
It was weekly, so I think it was 70 yuan a day is what they were paying us. So for if you work, I'm not going to explain.
As a visa requires, some of the visas are different on what you can do and the rules that you have.
Correct.
How long did it take you to get your visa, first of all?
I started applying for it in February, just when I decided I wanted to go, and I think it took me maybe about 3 months to get the process down. At the time, they had a lady that was living in Arizona that did all the visa applications for us, so she sent me like a thing with all the information she needed, and I mailed it into her, and she worked with the visa office to get that coordinated. I don't know if they still have that now, I know this one that I wrote down, Impact China, is the one that is definitely the best one that I've liked right now. They're the ones that had that resource, so they might be using something similar to that. But I also know that there's different kinds of web services you can get for like $30 to process your visa for you, and most of the visa offices will process with them pretty
As
easy.
far as your visa, what kind of visa was it?
I got a student visa. For the
So you were able to make money and spend over there.
Correct.
Were you able to work with other, as you were signed on with this company, were you able to do part-time or private teaching?
They talked about it. I know I talked before I went about it, but by the time I got there, they had enough hours with most of the other businesses they needed us to put in that I was kind of doing a 9 to 5. So by the time I got done, I was just like,
Oh, really?
done for the day.
When I was over there, I had parents, well, with the visa I had, I wasn't allowed to accept the offer, but I had parents come up to me and offer me like 200 yuan for like a half hour,
Yeah.
you know, just teaching, and that's like $35 for teaching like a short little reading with a kid.
And that's China definitely has a very like I don't know, auctioning is type the right word, just a good bartering type community. So like if you can like get an offer from a company and you want to try to like you don't think they're paying you enough, which majority of the time they're not. You can talk to them about other business, say, hey, I can go out this company instead, and they're offering me this much. And majority of the time, that company will just be like, oh no, we'll just match that. They just want to get you out there. So after my internship ended in December, actually after the first month, they approached me about signing on for a year contract, and they would help me get my work visa and all that, and they bumped it up to saying they'd pay me, I think, around 8,000 yuan a month to stay on just as their normal teacher for the rest of the year. So they definitely know like what the worth is. They'll try to get you paid more. I know with the internship stuff, it's kind of hard because they say you're just an intern, and that makes it easier for them to pay a little bit less. But if you're getting anything more than like 4 months or like a year, then you can definitely talk them into getting like what would be considered here like good teaching wages. So yeah, if you need, I've got plenty of other tips though. If you guys are going to China, things like getting a VPN so you can actually access your social media, it's good to have before you go. I've got some good connections with that on discounts and stuff like that. So feel free to send me an email. I'm usually pretty good at emailing you back the day you email me at some point. So any other quick questions before I take off? All right.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm happy to have you here. My name is Maggie and I'm representing Days for Girls. I am a non-traditional student. I am from El Salvador, and I don't know if my trip is as exciting as his was, but it has brought to me a lot of opportunities, and I just want to share a little bit about it. So first of all, please raise your hand if you watched yesterday's or today's lunar eclipse. Yes. Good.
It was awesome.
These dark circles under my eyes show that I did. It was cool. So it all began with my class of 350, which is my international health class. This is Dr. Sarah Hall. She's the one who gives this class. I sat there and I was not expecting to have so much from that class. I loved it, and it has been one of my favorites. One of her assignments was to work with local nonprofits and do service hours. You had to do 10 service hours. So she was talking about a nonprofit that usually works with her called Days for Girls. And I immediately signed up. I was curious. I didn't know anything about it. And it turns out that it's a passion. It became my passion. So this is one of the tips, if I can give you. Your internships can lead you to your passion. And it's great because you can help others. And that's one of my passions. So then everything I did was through these 3 associations. Of course, Utah Valley University, Days for Girls, and Save the Children. It all began with my mentor, Dr. Brian Barthel. Dr. Sarah Ho and him proposed me to become the president of the Community Health Club. And after that, everything went like uphill. They said, well, this is Days for Girls. She wants to volunteer. I got to meet the CEO of Days for Girls. She trained me, and then she said, this is what we do. And what they basically do is that they do kits of reusable pads that can last up to 5 years. And a lot of the girls here can understand how amazing that is and the economy. But the thing is that they give it to girls who are in extreme poverty, that they have barriers, and that they have to miss school days or be sent to shacks during their menstrual period. And some of these girls are raped, eaten by animals, or just die just because they're girls and they're in their period. So when I heard this, I was like, oh my God, I come from El Salvador and I've been into communities where poverty is crazy. Like they sleep under a cardboard, and what do these girls do? So I said, I have to take this to my country. So last semester, I did my internship actually in 2 places. I did it half of the time, 3 credits at the Utah County Health Department, and then I requested through my internship coordinator, James McCoy, I told him, I need to do that 1 extra credit with Days for Girls, and I gotta go to my country and I gotta help them. So I contacted Save the Children, and I told them, in El Salvador, I told them, hey, I got some amazing kids and I'm gonna teach about female hygiene. Can you guys help me? And they said, yes. We're gonna take you to the communities, we're gonna gather the girls, and you just come and do your thing. And that was so awesome. But I got to do everything through UVU. I had to do an IRB thing for my surveys. And I kept pushing doors. There was this guy that I went to talk to the IRB, and he said, no, we can't help you. This is too complicated. It's in another country. And I literally stood up and I was like, you are gonna help me. Seriously. And he was like, okay. And I said, this and this and these people told me you were gonna help me. And he was like, oh, say that name again? And then he helped me. And then also I got a grant, and that facilitated me to go there. Because I had the kids, I had everything, but I didn't have money to pay a $1,500 fee for the airplane. So I sold it. I harassed the dean of community health. Seriously. I went to look for him. He wasn't there, or at least that's what they told me. And then he came to an event, and I was like, hi, I'm Maggie. I'm from El Salvador. I need to do this. And he just kept smiling at me because he didn't want to say yes or no. I pushed him so hard, and I got it because I really wanted to do it. So I did. I got the grant, I got the IRB approval, and I got help from Save the Children. Days for Girls donated 200 kits with the value of $2,000, and that was amazing. So these are the 4 duffel bags that I had to take with all the kids. This is me. So let me talk to you about the communities. So the first community that I went to, they were so cute. These girls were so happy to have me there. They were listening to me. I don't look like a Salvadorian person. Their Salvadorian women are usually very short. Like, I am super tall. And they have a little bit of darker skin, and they don't have green eyes. So when I went there and I said, hola, ¿qué tal? They were like, whoa. And they were like, where are you from? And I was like, yo soy de El Salvador, yo soy salvadoreña. And they were like, no way. So they were really happy because it was not a gringa talking. It was a real Salvadorian. And so I was there, and look at their faces. They're like listening and paying attention and following all my moves. And they cracked up when I said, okay, I had to do it because I had to teach you. And I got these little underwear brief girls, and I put them in my legs, like it's in the picture. Of course, I couldn't pull them up. They were not my size. And they were cracking up. And I was like, I know, I'm fat, I know. And I showed them, and they were so happy. Like, they understood. And we began the surveys there. And there's where I started to learn a lot of the issues that I didn't think about. For example, in my surveys, I use very technical language in Spanish, but very technical. For example, you know how period, the real name, or the name you say is menstruation. But everybody talks about period. So it's the same in Spanish. They have the word menstruation, but they have a slang word. In the surveys, I use very technical language. And that was one of my first errors. They didn't understand. The second one is that a lot of them didn't know how to read, so I had to sit with them or just come back and talk to them and read them the questions. They were a pretty upbeat group. They were happy to have me there, so they were happy. They didn't mind for me talking about all these parts and anatomy. They were just happy. And I loved it. It was my first group. It was my first time doing this class, and I couldn't have been happier. It was the best day of my life. I was like, yes. They even did that thing, Days for Girls, without anybody telling them. They just were so excited. And those are the kids, and I was so happy to be there. These are some of the girls talking and using the kids. The best thing about it is that this girl over here, wearing the Save the Children shirt, she was a leader in her community. So for every single girl that did not go that day, she was gonna go out and talk to them and teach them about feminine hygiene. So if you do an internship, help others become leaders. Give them your knowledge so they can go and share it with others. So this is my second group. This group, I got there and they're not happy to have me there. There are a lot of older girls. They were from around 15 to 17, most of the girls. They were embarrassed. They were thinking, why is she talking about this? Just give us the kids and go. They didn't want me there. I was like trying to make eye contact. They were not looking at me. It was so hot. It's incredible. I've been in Utah since 2015. And I was like, I'm so happy. I'm gonna go to my country and the climate and everything. I went there and I'm like, whoa, this heat is too much. I was dying. And my friends were making fun of me, like, oh my God, la gringa. Because I was like, they were making fun of me because I couldn't stand the heat. And that day I was dying. And if you see the girls, they're just like, yeah, like, they didn't want me there. I had to literally go with my thing and talk to them and say, hey, really, this is for you. And they're like, eh. They didn't even want to take a picture with me. Look at their faces. Look at their faces. They're like, eh. We even brought some soccer balls because everybody plays soccer there. And they were like, and my smile is like, oh my God, get me out of here. Seriously, yeah, that was what I was talking about. I was thinking that. So that was my second group. This was my third group, and these girls were victims of rape, and they were in a jail. And this group was amazing. So I was telling them about this female anatomy, how babies grow, how babies are born. They kind of already know about this. They're looking at me like, we already know, but they don't want to tell me about it. And there's this girl who's just like rolling her eyes, like, can you believe what she's talking about? She thinks we're stupid. She's going like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, trying to figure out. And then the bags are made of that they can be used as backpacks. And I gave them the bags, and I said, take them out, touch them. If you have any questions, tell me, ask me. And she grabbed the bag, and she pulled the strings, and she put her in her bag. And that blew my mind, because in all of the groups that I have taught before, no one understood what the strings were for. And she got it without me saying anything about it. And I just stopped, and I was like, wait! And she was like, because I was like, you did it! Oh my God, you're the smartest girl ever! Nobody knew about this! You are so amazing! The minute I gave her a little bit of empathy, confidence, and a little pat on her back, she changed her attitude like this. She was like, yes! And she was participating, and when some other girls were talking, she was like, shh, quiet, pay attention. And I was like, whoa. She just needed a little bit of love. And they can't show their faces because they are victims. So, oh, this is me again, showing the product. And this is the only picture. This is the girl. She was so excited about it that she was even standing. She was like, I love this. And they were happy. And that was one of my favorite groups. You could see in their eyes how much suffering they had been through. So yeah, and then this is my fourth group. Oh, sorry about this. So this group, they were in a Catholic house. They're orphans, or they have been removed from houses where they have been mistreated. And a lot of these girls had problems, cognitive developmental problems. And I was not prepared to go and talk to them. Because in my mind, when I was here at UVU, drafting the surveys, thinking about my project, I said, well, I know the language, I know the people, I know the culture, everything's gonna be fine. But I went there, and I managed to find this group, and I was like, I didn't know how to explain myself, and one of the Catholic ladies, the nuns, she said, just talk to them and they will understand, and ask them questions. And so I did. And they were my best group. Like, they were laughing and talking and understanding, and they wanted to do the surveys. And then I was saying, okay, so how can you get pregnant? Sitting in the bathroom, kissing someone, or having sex, intercourse. And one of them kept yelling, sex! And then none was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, I was laughing. I was crying. I was like, good job. Be quiet. Good job. It was so fun. I loved it. Yeah, it was the best. So anyway, this was the girl who was yelling sex. She was so excited. She couldn't read. I was trying to, she knew a little bit, very, very basic, some words. And she was just trying to make like little X's to show that she understood. She was the best. And this is me at the end of that week. This is the Save the Children country director. Her name is Rocio. And I was so happy to have those duffels empty, because I had accomplished my mission. And the mistakes that I made were very technical. I learned how to not do surveys. I learned to don't think you know it all, even though if you're in your own country, you don't know it all. And I learned that even though I'm a non-traditional student, I'm a mom, I work, I study, I am a full-time volunteer for Days for Girls. UVU is the best place where you can reach others and help others and find your passion. There's always someone at UVU who will tell you yes. For example, Natalie. My country was in a list that I couldn't go there. They wouldn't even insure me. And she was like, oh yeah, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. And she helped me push a lot of people to make it happen. You just need to find the right person and find your passion. And you have other advantages that maybe I don't have, or vice versa, I don't know. But if you want to do something, do it and find the right person, and UVU is the best place to do it. I love UVU, dear. And just to end my presentation, this is sugarcane. That's what we grow in my country. And this is a volcano, this is a volcano, this is a mountain. We have 270 volcanoes in my country, 14 of those are active. We're very, very, very small. We're under Guatemala, and I love it with all my heart. And that's it. Any questions? Yes.
How long total were you in El Salvador?
That was 1 week.
Very cool.
Yes, and 4 of those days I went to the communities, and then on Friday I went to the beach because I missed it so much. I just stayed there from 6 a.m. until 7, just listening to the ocean.
So awesome.
Any other questions? If you want to know more about Days for Girls or how you can help Days for Girls, let me know. I'll also write my email there. I'm the representative. We're going to have a big thing in March, and we're seeking for volunteers. So, yes.
Isn't there a way we can donate?
Yes, there is. Right now we're doing a drive for underwear, for briefs. Did you see those arrows pulling out? So Walmart sells them cheaper. Hanes underwear can be from sizes 8 to 16. It usually costs $6, between $6 and $7, and brings 9 briefs, which translates to 9 kids. And those 9 kids will change the life of these girls. Like, you have no idea how much. So you can do it. We are receiving right now in 2 places. One is in the West Campus at the HB building, but a lot of you don't go there. So here at the LA building in the basement, I work at the Trio department, LA 012 in the basement. And we have a box, and you can just go there and drop it, and that's it. Instead of buying 1 box of sushi, 1 bag of underwear can help others. Thank you, Maddie.
All right, I don't have as many pictures as them, but I did my internship in London. I did a content marketing internship. I know it's just basic 9 to 5, but they're really flexible about giving me time off. So I was able to go to several other countries, including just across England, Paris, Greece. I went for the weekend. And also the Netherlands. And for my internship, it was a content marketing internship, and it was interesting because I had only taken 1 marketing class before that, so I was really new. I didn't even really know what content marketing was before I got there. And so it was interesting. So for that, they had me write a lot of content for third parties and also blog posts for third parties. I also helped a lady create content for her website that she was launching. So she was a video over. So it's called Zest Media Group. They're a marketing agency, but they also have their own line of magazines. So they're called Absolutely Magazines, and they have like Mama, Property, Education, and a few others. So it was a really fun company to work for. And I was also over the daily post for Absolutely Property Management. I decided I liked the social media aspect of it a little bit more. The content was pretty difficult because I was interviewing with them, and I was like, yeah, I took some writing classes in high school, advanced ones, and I took business writing, but I was kind of in the mode of business writing, like just kind of straight to the point. But the city guys were more there wanting to be really elaborate, like details, and I'd be like, so there's like at the beginning I had to redo a lot of things because I was trying to like just stick to the details, and they're like, that's not how we want it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did that. I was also in charge of city guides and news stories for the Emirates website they were launching, Emirates Education. So that was really interesting. I did the top 4 cities in the Emirates, just what to do there, places to go eat, stuff like that. And also news stories daily. This was the intern group. That's the agency I went through. This is our community manager. Her name's Ariana. She was really good, really passionate about London and helping us. The questions we have, these are my 2 really good friends. Roma, she's 22 and actually just graduated from Oxford with her master's in finance. She's crazy smart. I know. I ended up in that area. And also Lola, she was actually 35, so kind of in a different spot in her life, but she was studying architecture. They're both really awesome. And this is just a place I gotta go visit. It was in Richmond. Yeah, so it's just like a 1-hour train ride. That's the really nice part about London is they have a lot of trains. You can just go all around England, basically, just over the weekend. It's really fun. So I stayed, when I was there, they have either 2 setups you can have where you stay in like an apartment with 6 or 7 other interns or people just there studying English, or you could do a homestay, and I actually did a homestay. So I was with the lady in about her 50s. She was really funny, really nice. We actually became really good friends. She was adding me on Facebook the other day, so. But she was really nice. So for the program, like the transportation cost was paid for, housing was paid for. They give you a little tube card for Zone 1 and Zone 2 that can get around basic parts of London. They also give you the 24/7 support from your local staff, so like the community manager, like I showed you before, You could contact her whenever with questions or suggestions of places to go, which was really nice. They also have weekly meetups. They just post it on their Facebook page, so you can go to those. I did attend more at the beginning, but then once I made those 2 really good friends, I was just like, we'll just do whatever we want. So you kind of have flexibility there. They also have interview and resume workshops, so you kind of get you transitioned into the workforce a little bit more. And also, it was kind of funny, I was going to add, the lady I stayed with, her name was Veronica, and she's from Guyana in South America. And like my second day there, I came home and she's like, left a note for me because she worked most nights. She's like, I did some wash for you. And I was like, I did it, I just got here. What wash did you do? And she had taken out all my underwear and washed it all and hanged it on. And I was like, so she's kind of like my second mom. It was really, sometimes got a little personal. And I was like, too much. But
Stay apartment.
I know. There's switch off to both, but it was definitely, I know. Right, it was definitely the right option for me. So this is actually also again. It's actually all covered in scaffolding now. For the next 3 years, they're repairing it, which is kind of depressing. They turned it like the bells off the week before I got there. So maybe someday I'll hear it. But at least I got to see a little bit of it while it's still uncovered. And that's just a really pretty house. I really love the architecture in London. Like everyone's just so beautiful. I was looking at a video of South Carolina when I was there, so I was like, maybe I'll live there. That might be a nice place. And I was just watching it, and they were just, I mean, it's pretty, but nothing compares to London. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna ever be satisfied with anything else. This is my friend Lolis and I. The London Eye is included, so they have a couple of activities. They include, like, they take you to a show, they take you on London Eye, to a tea party, like the first picture, and also, I think there's one other event, I can't quite remember. So a lot of fun activities. And this is at Brighton. It's actually one of my favorite places in England, one of them. But they have, it's like a bunch of vintage shops, and this is the pier going out. I got ice cream, but actually, like right after I took this picture, a seagull came and ate half of it. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah.
They like swoop down and just...
Yeah. Just like, and then I was like, well, I'll just eat the other half, I guess. I actually really want to try this, which is kind of gross. But then another one came, and then another one, and I was like, forget it. I can't handle this. But that was a fun experience. This is the Cotswold, just a little bit by Oxford. My parents came up to visit, and also my sister came at a separate time. Just really pretty, really quaint, like village houses. It's really fun. And this is Prince Albert Bridge, I believe. It's always lit up like that. But one of the good things about going, I went in September and I was there for 16 weeks. And it was really nice because I kind of got the end of summer, and then I also got the fall, and then like all the Christmas decorations, like Oxford Street, Regent Street, they decorate a lot with really pretty lights. It's just really festive and a fun time to be there. That's my friend Roma. I went to her graduation in Oxford because her parents weren't able to come up. It was really interesting. All of it was in Latin, besides people's names. it was fun. So that's it. Yeah, that's. Any questions?
How long were you there for?
I was there for 16 weeks. It's about 4 months. Yeah.
How would you suggest, like, how did you save up for, because I know that it's pretty expensive in London, isn't it? Compared
Yeah, it is. How would you save up for it, you said?
Yeah.
So I did get 2 scholarships. I did it for credit. It was my last credit here. I'm actually graduated now. But so I got the women's scholarship, and then I also applied for the Lancashire one. I didn't get that one, but they gave me a housing scholarship instead. So it was really nice. It covered some of my cost. And also, my parents helped me, and I got a little bit of loan. But I will say, I got some loan to cover some of my tuition, but since I got given scholarship money, they took away some of my loan, and I didn't know that before. So just be aware of that. You have like a certain, each student has like a certain amount that they can get. So just be aware of that. Budget for that. That's important. And also, my parents helped me a little bit and just loan money, but it was worth it. It was good. Yes.
How did you choose your institution?
The like London or
Yeah, like how did you decide that's what you wanted to do? Did you find it through UVU, or did you do research on your own?
yeah. So I chose London because it was kind of I feel like the connecting point between Europe and just because they have English, but it's also like a connector to a lot of other European places. Like I said, I met friends from like Bulgaria, China, India, Guyana, Spain. And so I contacted Natalie, and we just, like the intern group, she recommended an intern group program. And they kind of interview you, they ask you what type of jobs you're looking for, and they send out your resume to a few companies, and then they just contact you back, and I just went, like, and I think I interviewed 3 times with with the company I worked for, and yeah, so that's there. Yep.
Are you happy you chose a homestay over another type of accommodation?
Yeah, I actually really was. The lady, like I said, at first it was a little bit like, oh, it's a little too much. You go into my room and clean, and I'd be like, But yeah, it was really great. We became really good friends. The other one, it seemed like a little bit more crowded just because they had 6 or 7 interns. Some people are from the intern group, some people are just there learning English. And so it's just kind of like, I think my friends, I had 2 friends that lived in that housing. They would just say, like, during dinner and stuff, it would get really complicated because everyone would want to cook in the kitchen at the same time. But with mine, she's gone most of the time when I was home, so it worked out. It was nice. Anything else? All right.
My name's Kara Owen. I was honestly not planning on doing an internship a year ago. And I'm currently a senior and I'm in the art history program. And there's no internship requirement, but it was kind of a personal requirement. I was about to get married. I don't mean this to make it sound bad, but I knew I wouldn't have any other opportunities to do it after I got married. So I kind of looked around for things that I could do. I had applied a year before to go to school in Ireland. The timing didn't really work out, so I was looking for more things that I could do. I didn't find many things that applied to art history and my education and what I wanted to do, and so I came across IVHQ's International Volunteer Headquarters. It's a website that they have a lot of volunteering through, and I was like, maybe I'll just go to Leipzig to see turtles or something in Greece, whatever, it's something. So I was going through all the different projects that they have and saw that they have a temple, a Buddhist temple renovation. I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I need. So I was like, I'm definitely going to do this. Word of caution, don't do it 3 weeks before you get married. Worst, probably, decision I made for it, but it was worth it in the end. And then after I figured it all out, I started in April of last year thinking about it and trying to get things done, and then decided, I should probably make this count towards my education, why not? And so then I started talking to Natalie about counting as an internship. So it kind of came through a very roundabout way. So I went to Sri Lanka. I don't know if everybody knows where that is. It took me a little while to find it, but it's the teardrop of India. It's right below India. It's exactly the other side of the world from us, so it's a little ways away. The flights definitely weren't the best. I went through Japan and had a 23-hour layover. That was really rough. And then I went to Sri Lanka, and it's a 12-hour difference. So it was, I had probably jet lag the entire time I was there, so by the time I came back I was fine. And so I was there for a month, and I was centralized in Kandy, which is about the center of Sri Lanka. It's the more mountainous parts. I was really glad about that because when we arrived in Colombo, which is like the western part, and it's very, very humid, and I was like, I could not handle this if this was how it was. But it's a lot cooler. It's still really hot and humid, but it was a lot cooler. So I went on Google Maps, and this is Kandy. This is the Sacred Tooth Temple. It's like one of the most important temples in the Buddhist religion. And up there, that yellow pin, and Mabala, that's where my placement was, my temple that I worked on for 4 weeks. And then the one further up there is where where I stayed. The Pizza Hut is actually really important. They have Pizza Huts everywhere, which is random. But that's how we could tell people, oh, I live by the Pizza Hut over there. If we needed to tell bus drivers directions or whatever, like, oh yeah, that Pizza Hut. So surprisingly, it was really helpful. So this is where I stayed. It was actually, so they have online, they have kind of a description of, you know, what it looks like, what you're going to be housed in, and they said like, oh, hot water and electricity, completely like, you know, first world country kind of stuff. And I was like, darn it. Okay, I'm cool with that. I've been to Africa before, so I'm not foreign to the idea of living in a third world country. But again, in Africa, they did actually have hot water. Here they didn't, which I didn't mind. It was really hot, so taking cold showers wasn't that horrible. This is our house right here. It was owned by a family, but they let the volunteers stay there. It's one of 2 houses, I believe, in the area that they have volunteers go to. And that's where we stayed. And on the bottom left, they didn't get AC, so we just had fans going the entire time, which it was nice for mosquito repellent because you can't really have mosquitoes flying around when there's air going. So projects there are a lot of different projects there. I did the Buddhist temple renovation one. There was like child care, infant care, teaching monks, and just tons and tons of different projects you could do. You could intern or help with the hospital there, but I just stayed with mine because I had to do with my education. I just wanted to get educated and have some experience with that. And this is the project, and this is just a picture I got from Google Maps. I'm actually surprised I could find it, but that's the name of it. I'm not going to pronounce it, but so the first week we kind of talked about, and some of the other ones, how we kind of have a culture week. So since it's set up through this company, they have a week of, and we're going to go look at some dances, some cultural dances. We're going to go to a tea factory where they produce tea. We're going to go we're going to make Sri Lankan food that takes 5 hours to prepare. I have no idea why. They just really like to go slow on everything. We're going to take a boat ride around the lake. Yeah, must be. I was starving and it was insane. We went to a Hindu temple, we went to a Buddhist temple. Hinduism are the most prominent religions there. There's also a lot of Muslims as well. We went inside the Sacred Tooth Temple. That was really awesome. We climbed up to the Buddha at the very top of Kandy. If you have any questions about particular pictures, please ask, because I just kind of threw them up there, obviously. Yeah, we were able to go to a Hindu temple and we participated in the actual ceremony, and they gave us a dog on the forehead. That was really awesome. Kind of in the moment, it was like, I have no idea what's going on, mostly because it was in their language, but they did teach us some language classes, which was kind of surprised that they did, because most people speak enough English that you really didn't need it. So, like, especially vendors, they were like, oh, American, come to us. Or, you know, European or whatever. Actually, American was like the least common thing ever. Like, there was a lot of people from China and from England and a few other places, but I was the only American there the whole time. So that was actually kind of shocking. I thought there would be more for sure. So this is just Kandy. I took some pictures around. This is what's called a tuk-tuk. This is how we get around. It's like a scooter. It's a little bit bigger, but they're really, really cheap to get around. That's the Kandy City Center. And fish market, they have them in the back of every grocery store, which smells awful. This is the little path I took behind our house to get to my placement. So just took some steps over the gutter, nothing big. And this is the Muslims temple. I can't say the name right now. Thank you. So that was one of our place markers for how to get around to the bus stop. There were train tracks everywhere. That's how volunteers got around on their weekends to go to different places and visit different places. There were geckos everywhere. They're like invisible geckos, not invisible. I'm sorry, that's not possible. Transparent. That's what I meant. There were transparent geckos like all over our house. It was awesome.
And you don't want to kill them because they eat the bugs.
Yes, exactly. They were awesome. Except for this one time when we were getting ready to, at my placement, there was a huge spider like this that ran out on the wall, and I was like, and the guy who was with me picked it up and threw it at me. It was not okay. So here's my actual project. So the first week, again, that was cultural week, so we just went around with all of the volunteers. Second week was when I started my project. I was the only one doing the temple renovation. Most people were there for the babies. We went to go volunteer with the babies of women who were raped. Unfortunately, that was one of the biggest cultural things. Is the women, the view on women was very, very different from here. But I spent 4 weeks here, or 3 weeks, because the first week was my cultural week. And I had a guide, his name was Chanika, and he and I renovated this temple. By renovating it, I mean we painted, we fixed some walls, we cleaned and washed off stuff. So this is actually the Buddhist monk's home, and it was right next to the temple and everything. And they wanted to have us renovate that. It was at my very last week. I actually went to another temple at the very end, and it was an extreme difference because these monks were extremely rich and well off and had like this beautiful architecture, and they were very well kept up and everything, and we got very good lunch every day. But the other one, it was like an hour out of the way into the mountains, and it was very secluded and very broken down. So it was an extreme change. But one of my goals that I had by going out was seeing how relevant the Buddhist temples were to the culture, which they are the lifeblood of the culture. The people surrounding would bring food to the monks for like every meal, so the monks basically didn't have to do anything. And that's how we got lunch too, is they would come bring tons of food, and we would eat that food as well. And they came and worshipped every afternoon and came into the temple and offered it's right there that they offered the offerings and stuff to the gods. And so yeah, it was really just interesting how incorporated it was. But basically, when we first got there, everything was very dirty and very worn off, all the paint. So we repainted like the block that you see up here. We repainted all the white and the black on here, all the red. It was a very, very long project, and we painted this as well. So it looked so cool when we got done with it. It was really awesome to finish it. But it was in the Sri Lankan weather from 8 a.m. to like 4 or 5. So it was very hard work. So when I got home, I didn't mind taking a cold shower. It was nice. Actually, the first week though, I don't know if you can tell in this picture, it rained actually the whole week on and off. So we just worked on the Buddhist monk's home, which was under some roofing and stuff. Also, my favorite part. So the Buddhist, I'm going to talk about that picture. So the Buddhist religion believes in not harming animals. They're just kind of, they're there, we're not going to harm them, even if we don't hate them. So when we would be painting and there would be like a wasp nest, I'd be like, hey, Chanika, what do I, can I like strike it off? He's like, no, paint around it. And I was like, okay, I'll paint around it, like on the wall. I was like, this is so weird. But there was this little family of dogs, this mom and her 3 little babies, and they were around the temple, and the monks and the people, the other workers who were there working on some other construction, they actually hated them and would like throw rocks at them, which was so sad. But whenever I came, I was like best friends with the puppies, and I did touch them because the dogs there are very gross and very infested with the bugs and stuff. But like whenever I had gloves on, I'd pet them and play with them and talk to them, so that was like the best. And that's the moment that he stole one of the volunteer shoes. And then I took this picture, I actually posted on Instagram, and I was like, I have a love hate relationship with renovators because, you know, the before pictures were a little bit dirty, they were a little bit weathered, but it was like so cool to see how like old and used and how the buildings and stuff were, and then we repainted over it and it looks new, but it just like, I feel like it took away from, it was ugly and nasty, but I feel like it took away from the character. So I was like, this is really cool, but it's like, it feels like I'm changing like history or something. I don't know. It was kind of like a little philosophical moment for me, but it was, all in all, it was really, really awesome. I was really glad to be there and do the whole thing. One of my assignments before I left was to research a bunch about Sri Lanka and Buddhism and all that I could figure out before I went there, so I wasn't clueless when I got there. And so me and Chamiki would kind of talk. He'd like kind of quiz me back and forth about the Buddhist religion and things in Sri Lanka. And I'm like, okay, how do you know that? Like, I read a lot of books before I came, like, so I wouldn't be completely clueless. But it was really, really awesome. So on the weekends we could do other things. We went to Pinawala Elephant Orphanage, and it was really, really cheap to get there. It took about a 2-hour bus ride though, but yeah, we went and visited cute elephants. I mean, who doesn't love to see that? So, but also on the way, there's another elephant place that they had to kind of warn us about, and don't go there because they are very sketchy and they abuse their elephants and all this stuff. So it was very like, I don't know, we just had to be careful with what we were doing with pretty much everything the whole entire time that we were there. But that was one of the things that we did on the weekends. Also, if you've ever heard of the giant rock right here that has a city on it in Sri Lanka, we went there. It was so awesome. And one of the things that I would suggest doing is making sure you know when their holidays are, because when you don't, your 1 hour hike to the top of this rock turns into a 5-hour hike, and you're stuck in between a lot of sweaty people and people who like to push, and you run out of water and get dehydrated and have heat exhaustion like I did. So yeah, we had to like plan it out and talk to our supervisors and said, hey, we're going to do this. Any tips? We didn't say anything about the fact that, oh, this is a really big holiday. There's going to be tons of people there. And so we showed up and we're like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. So this was actually, it was incredibly, like, yeah, I got sick for weeks after because of the exhaustion thing. But I think it was about a 3-hour bus ride. Again, it was really, really cheap. I have numbers in a second, but I went with one of my friends, one of the volunteers. So, because I'm a girl, I like to make lists. I guess that's the thing. And this is kind of the list of things that I had to do in order to get prepared. So through IVHU, I had to register. I had to fill out a bunch of paperwork as well as for UVU, especially traveling internationally. I had to get a bunch of vaccines, and I had to get a visa, which actually took like a week. Not so much the other guy took, because it took 4 months. And a bunch of other things. These were my costs. So it costs about $3,200. I didn't put in my tuition because that didn't apply for a while after. So that was about $600 more. My parents contributed. We have this plan where if I keep up my grades, they give me a percentage of money every semester. So that's why I keep up my grades. So the flights were definitely the most expensive, $1,700 for all of my flights, just because it is the other side of the world. So here's some, I don't know if you can see, but some conversions for the money. But everything was very, very cheap there. So they suggested bringing money for weekend trips, but really I didn't hardly use any of it. For a bus ride to the city was about 6 cents. For two rides, it was about $1.95, but we split that between 3 girls. So we had to make copies of our like passport and all that different stuff for our placement. It was about 45 cents. We had snacks all the time. That was really cheap too. Like when we went out to eat food, it was I think $700 about dollars, so like $5 to go eat like at a sit-down restaurant. So it was like the cheapest I've ever seen, and I bought a ton of souvenirs for my family, and I did spend over $100. Like, it was incredible. So that was probably the best part of it, is the fact that it was so cheap. And I think that might be it. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Did you feel safe there?
Okay, yeah, so that's when I was in the huge group of people, yes. And that was the thing, is they said over and over and over, do not go without at least 2 people with you. Do not go out at night. Do not go out with, even if there is 3 people with you, make sure there's at least a guy in the group. Make sure you stick together. One of the scariest experiences while we were there, we were in a bus ride back from, I think, the Elephant Orphanage, and there was tons of people on the bus. We kind of got separated. One of the girls in my group, who's a blonde, who I guess kind of got picked out in the crowd, she kind of got a little harassed by some of the people there, so that was really scary. And I had no idea about it. I mean, I was like stuck in the middle of the bus or something. And when we were going to the Lions Rock, we had to leave really early in the morning in order to get there before the crowds, which there were already crowds there, so it didn't matter. But it was still dark outside, and the girl there was like, do not leave. Like, you do not go outside when it's dark. And it was really kind of scary to hear like all of the rules and how you don't go in a tuk-tuk ride in a tuk-tuk if the driver seems sketchy, because we have too many stories of bad things that happen. If you go on a train ride, you have to make sure you're in the train, because we've had volunteers who have fallen under the train and have died. So it's very third world, and you have to be extremely on edge, unfortunately. So like when I was by myself in my project, there was somebody who went with me, which was really awesome. But when I got home, I was the only one home, and I was like, oh, I want to go to the candy center where everybody is. But I couldn't go by myself because I was the only one there. So I was like, well, let's stay at home by myself. But yeah, I did not feel very safe. But when I was with people, like, I felt a lot safer. But it was definitely, you have to kind of keep an eye out, like, all the time. Unfortunately, yeah, completely different culture. Any other questions? Thank you so much.